Hey folks, welcome back to Bullets and Brass. We're talking about steel-cased ammo today, and we're specifically talking about should you use it, when should you use it, where is it appropriate, where is it potentially not appropriate, and value for money. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what it is and where it's appropriate. And a lot of those are perpetuated by people on YouTube, by marketing, by gun store idiots, and the confusion perpetuates. So the number one myth is that it can somehow damage your gun. The steel case is going to either damage your chamber, feed ramps, magazine lips, something like that. Completely false. It's not going to damage your gun. Yes, steel case originally was developed for things like the AK-47. It doesn't hurt your gun. The steel case involved is way, way softer than the steel your gun is made out of for feed ramps and chambers. I mean, massively different. You are not talking hardened steel. You're actually talking steel that they've gone to some effort to keep relatively mild. So yeah, you're fine. It is not going to hurt your gun in any way in that sense. The only way it would hurt your gun is if you had the wrong ammo for your chamber and it just managed to fit. Hey, I need you to go click subscribe and a thumbs up. And then I want you to go to another video and do another thumbs up. And then go find some other poor YouTube sob and do it to him too, or her. We need the help. YouTube does not like firearms channels. It does not like anything that shows guns, ammo, magazines, shooting at any kind. They just don't. So do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. Every little bit of help you can give us with the YouTube algorithm goes a long way in keeping channels like this and some of the more entertaining oriented firearms channels going. Give us a hand. Thank you. Love you. Ciao, guys. Now, the next part is that it's somehow inherently worse. I'm not sure whether this is just because Wolf is generic bargain basement. Most of the ammo is very inaccurate and basic. I don't know if that's where that comes from, but there's nothing about the steel case portion of it that makes the ammo less capable. Now, the key here is that not all ammo is equal, and it has nothing to do with the case itself. It has to do with what the market is. Very often, because of the price difference, steel-cased ammo is marketed as cheap ammo. So they don't produce premium ammo and put it into steel cases. If you're going to produce a premium ammo, you're going to charge a premium for it. You do a brass case because that's what people expect. That's what they insist on. You're not going to hurt your marketing by using the steel-cased ammo. Which gets to the next point. You can't reload steel, or at least not in a reasonable, practical thing. The Outdoor Journalist mentioned the other day on my live stream that he's looking into reloading steel cases. And I know there's a process. I'm not fully versed on it, but it is not as simple as you might think. And here's where it gets interesting. You can damage dies. Dies are extremely precise. You don't want to scratch them inside, and you're exerting a lot of force in motion. On a chamber, there's not a lot of force involved in the chambering of a nut and fire round. The force is involved in containing the blast, and then the force dissipates and you eject that round. On a reloading die, you've got a case that is too big and you're forcing a die down around it. There's a lot of pressure and there's movement. You can damage a die that way. Now, different cases have different coatings on them, different lacquers, different things. Case lubricants for reloading can help, but I wouldn't do that on expensive dies. I would use, for my sizing die, something disposable, a cheap lead eye, something where there was an insert that could be changed out. I would be happier doing that on something like 9mm, where I could do a carbide die instead of a steel die. But on like 223 or 7.62x39, that's not an option. So where does steel cased ammo make sense and where does it not make sense? First, let me get out of the way. If you are just practicing pistol shooting, meaning you are, drills from holster, just general target practice at modest distances where you're not worried about, a tiny little group, just in a group, so to speak. You're shooting steel at relatively close range, meaning 50 feet and in. I think steel is wonderful. I think steel cased ammo, and by steel cased, you could literally translate my words to cheapest ammo you can get. That's literally what I mean by that, but it's almost always steel cased. I think spending money on better ammo when that ammo is not going to get you any advantage is silly. In fact, I would argue that the occasional malfunction that cheap ammo gives you, which has nothing to do with being steel cased, but just cheap ammo, is beneficial because you have a failure, you learn failure drills. If you don't practice your failure drills otherwise, having a jam because if you have cheap ammo, having a round that just doesn't go bang and you have to do a clearance drill and get back in the action, this is good training. I mean, it's that simple. Now, are there some safety concerns there? Sure. But like I said, I've had more of that kind of issue with dirt cheap brass cased ammo than steel cased. In my opinion, Wolf Ammo quality control for will it go bang and will it properly chamber in the rifle is very good. Their quality control for where will it hit on the target, that's a little different. Where would I not use it? Anything where precision matters more than speed. And the key here is that most steel-cased ammo is not built to be particularly precise. It can be, but it just isn't built that way because they're trying to meet a price point. And just like I wouldn't use Blazer, I wouldn't use Blazer brass, I wouldn't use even Winchester white box. Where else would it be good? 3-gun matches for handgun. I wouldn't use it for the rifle. I would practice with the rifle with it, but if you're a 3-gun match where they have some targets further out for rifle, I'd probably go brass cased, but certainly you could practice with it. And if anything, if you do practice with smaller targets further out where the steel cased ammo's accuracy is questionable, this is just making your practice even better. Because if you have a miss that you thought you were on target, you pulled the trigger, you're training yourself to be sure of that hit before you move on. Did I hear it before I actually go to the next target if you need to go back or not? That's important because under stress, you may think you made a good shot, you shanked it. And if you don't make sure you got that hit, you may get a penalty that you could have avoided. You could have just taken another shot half a second later, moved on. So that's great. That's a perfectly good use for it. Where I would not use it, where I absolutely would not. I would not use it in a self-defense scenario if I could avoid it. And this has less to do with the steel case itself than the fact that it is extremely rare to see steel-cased ammo that is not an FMJ. So absolutely, give steel a try. If you are nervous about it, don't be. That is it. Give steel a try. If you're nervous about steel, don't be. Take advantage of it. If you can get steel cheaper than you can get brass practice ammo right now, buy it. Stack it. Buy as much as you can get because it's not going to get any cheaper for a very long time, if ever. So if that's the cheapest ammo you can find, I would do it. I certainly, particularly for 9mm, I have an awful lot of steel cased for every round of non-steel cased I have. for 223 and other calibers like that. I hand load so much of it that I don't have a lot of steel cased, but it is what it is, guys. Ammo is not cheap. Steel cased is probably your best bet for general purpose practice. Take care, have fun, stay safe, everybody.